The second episode of Duster opens with Jim Ellis desperately struggling to remove what appears to be a dead body from the trunk of his car. He's clearly panicked, cursing and sweating as he drags the heavy weight through the darkness. This immediately sets the tone for an episode filled with tension and moral compromise, throwing viewers right into the chaotic life of our protagonist. As the scene unfolds, we begin to understand that Jim's life as Saxton's driver involves far more than just driving. It involves cleaning up messes, sometimes literally. The episode then introduces us to Wesson Groomes, a corrupt Bible-quoting police officer who has discovered Jim's connection to Nina Hayes, the FBI agent we met in the first episode. Groomes confronts Jim at a gas station, revealing that he spotted Jim talking with Nina downtown. What makes this especially dangerous is that Groomes knows Nina is a federal agent, and he threatens to tell Saxton about this dalliance with the FBI unless Jim pays him $10,000. This blackmail puts Jim in an impossible position. He needs to silence Groomes without involving Saxton, who would likely kill Jim if he discovered Jim was communicating with a federal agent. We get a glimpse into Saxton's operation when Jim visits him at his headquarters. Saxton is grateful to Jim for saving his son's life in the previous episode, giving him a substantial cash bonus. It becomes clear that despite being a ruthless crime boss, Saxton has a certain code of loyalty and appreciation for those who help his family. During this visit, we also meet Saxton's daughter, who feels frustrated that her father won't let her participate in the family's criminal business simply because she's a woman. This subplot adds depth to the criminal world, showing the gender dynamics and family tensions within Saxton's organization. Meanwhile, Nina Hayes is digging deeper into the death of Jim's brother, Joey Ellis. She discovers inconsistencies in the police report that claimed Joey died in a propane accident. Working with her partner, Agent Awan Bitsui, who is Navajo, a detail that triggers racist remarks from Officer Groomes when they meet, Nina begins to suspect that there's a cover-up involving both the Phoenix PD and potentially someone within the FBI itself. When she questions Groomes about the report, he reveals that former FBI agent Leland Breen instructed him what to write in the report, suggesting corruption within the Bureau. In a pivotal scene, Jim meets with Nina in a parking garage to exchange information. She presses him about why he didn't mention being present when Joey died, while he informs her about Groomes' blackmail threat. Their relationship remains tense and built on mutual necessity rather than trust. Nina needs Jim to provide evidence against Saxton, while Jim needs her help dealing with Groomes. When she can't offer immediate financial assistance for the blackmail payment, Jim decides to take matters into his own hands. Desperate for a solution, Jim visits a local fixer known only as Sunglasses, a dangerous man who eliminates problems for a price. Unable to pay Sunglasses' fee of $3,000, Jim proposes an alternative. He offers to steal Elvis Presley's famous blue suede shoes from the King's Palm Springs home. Sunglasses accepts this unusual payment, agreeing to handle the Groomes situation while Jim obtains the celebrity footwear. This leads to one of the episode's more unusual sequences, as Jim travels to Palm Springs to infiltrate Elvis's home. He cleverly uses a woman at a party, who he tells is actress Adrienne Barbeau, to distract Elvis's manager, Colonel Parker, while he sneaks into Elvis's office to steal the iconic shoes. This caper adds a touch of dark humor to the episode, while showing Jim's resourcefulness and skills beyond driving. While Jim is breaking into Elvis's home, we get an emotional scene where Nina reveals her personal connection to the case to Awan. She explains that her father worked for Saxton when she was a child and wanted to cut ties with the criminal organization. Shortly after attempting to leave, her father was killed when his Cadillac exploded, a hit order by Saxton. Nina carries the guilt and trauma of witnessing Saxton in her father's store shortly before the murder, explaining that she's waited 20 years to bring him to justice. This revelation adds significant emotional weight to Nina's pursuit of Saxton, transforming it from a professional investigation to a deeply personal mission of vengeance. In a parallel storyline, Nina and Awan break into a police impound yard to examine the remains of Joey Ellis's car. confirming through physical evidence that the explosion that killed him was not an accident, but deliberately caused by an explosive device placed on the vehicle. This illegal investigation shows Nina's willingness to break rules in pursuit of justice, mirroring Jim's own moral compromises in his criminal life. The episode builds toward a violent climax when Jim returns with the stolen shoes to meet Sunglasses at a bowling alley. The exchange quickly goes south when Sunglasses reveals that he killed Groomes after Groomes killed Sunglasses' brother Charlie during their confrontation. Sunglasses, grief-stricken and angry, demands both the shoes and the cash, then attempts to kill Jim, leading to a brutal fight in the bowling alley bathroom. The fight scene is set against the ironic soundtrack of Elvis's Teddy Bear, contrasting the violent struggle with the innocent lyrics. Jim barely manages to kill Sunglasses in self-defense, adding another body to his growing list of problems. The episode takes an unexpected turn when Jim's father Wade appears while Jim is attempting to bury Sunglasses' body in the desert. Wade followed Jim out of concern, revealing a complex father-son relationship. Despite their earlier arguments, Wade helps Jim finish burying the body, and they share an emotional moment reflecting on Joey's death. Wade admits he's afraid of losing another son and wants to be there for Jim in a way he feels he wasn't for Joey. This scene humanizes both characters, showing the complicated bonds of family that exist even within a criminal lifestyle. Throughout the episode, we get glimpses of Jim's connections outside the criminal world, particularly with his friend Izzy and her daughter Luna. When Jim needs information about Elvis's house layout, as Izzy had once been to a party there, he reluctantly agrees to babysit the feverish Luna while Izzy attends a doctor's appointment. These moments show Jim's capacity for kindness and normal human connection, contrasting with the violence and criminality that dominate much of his life. His conversation with Luna, where she innocently asks about her deceased father, who Jim clearly knew, reveals layers of Jim's character and suggests he maintains certain moral boundaries despite his criminal associations. The episode ends with a chilling scene of paramedics working to save someone, presumably Groomes, though his face is obscured by sunglasses, while we hear a phone conversation between a woman named Evelyn, likely Breen's wife, whom Nina attempted to visit earlier, and an unnamed man. Evelyn warns that Nina is investigating the Joey Ellis case and looking for missing files, to which the man ominously replies, "Don't you worry about her. I'll take care of her." This ending suggests a larger conspiracy within the FBI itself, with powerful forces already moving to stop Nina's investigation before she uncovers the truth. This second episode deepens the show's exploration of moral ambiguity in the 1970s Southwest. Jim Ellis occupies an increasingly complicated position. He's not an innocent man, but he's not a heartless criminal either. He kills when necessary for survival, but shows genuine care for people like Izzy and Luna. Similarly, Nina breaks rules and laws in pursuit of justice, raising questions about whether the ends justify the means. The episode suggests that in this corrupt world, maintaining pure moral standards may be impossible. The period setting of the 1970s is vividly portrayed through music, fashion, and cultural references. The mention of Shirley Chisholm's presidential campaign places us firmly in 1972, while references to Nixon's visit to China and Elvis Presley's career provide historical touchstones. The casual racism displayed by characters like Groomes reflects the social realities of the era, particularly in the American Southwest. The episode also expands the show's examination of family dynamics. Jim's relationship with his father Wade reveals a history of disappointment and misunderstanding, complicated by Joey's death. Saxton's family presents another angle, with his son recovering from a heart transplant while his daughter chafes against gender restrictions. Even Nina's motivation stems from family. Avenging her father's murder drives her professional ambitions. These family connections humanize characters who might otherwise be simple crime drama archetypes. Visually, the episode makes excellent use of the desert landscape, contrasting the bright, open expanses with dark, claustrophobic interiors like the bowling alley bathroom where Jim fights for his life. The violence is presented unflinchingly but not glamorized. It's messy, desperate, and often followed by the unglamorous business of disposal, as when Jim and his father bury Sunglass's body. The storytelling uses parallel structures effectively, cutting between Jim's heist at Elvis's house and Nina's illegal investigation at the impound yard. Both characters break the law in pursuit of their goals, emphasizing their complex moral positions. Similarly, both Jim and Nina are haunted by past deaths. Joey for Jim, and Nina's father for her. These parallels suggest that despite being on opposite sides of the law, Jim and Nina share certain fundamental experiences and motivations. The episode leaves several questions unanswered, creating tension for future installments. Who is the mysterious man threatening to take care of Nina? What really happened to Joey Ellis? And was Saxton responsible? Will Jim be able to maintain his precarious position between Saxton and the FBI? And how will Nina's personal vendetta against Saxton affect her professional judgment? These unresolved threads promise a complex, continuing narrative. The performances add considerable depth to the material. Jim's mixture of criminal competence and moral uncertainty makes him a fascinating protagonist. He's capable of violence, but still retains enough humanity to connect with others. Nina's determination masks vulnerability, particularly evident when she shares her personal history with Awan. Even secondary characters like Groomes and Sunglasses bring distinctive energy to their roles, creating a world that feels populated by specific individuals rather than generic crime drama types. By the episode's conclusion, both Jim and Nina have taken significant risks that have pushed them further into danger. Jim has now killed Sunglasses and is complicit in covering up Groomes' murder, while Nina has broken into a police impound yard and is now the target of a mysterious threat from within her own organization. The stakes have escalated considerably from the first episode, and the moral waters have grown even murkier. This episode effectively builds on the foundation laid in the premiere, deepening character relationships and motivations while maintaining the tension of the criminal investigation plot. The combination of period detail, moral complexity, and personal stakes creates a rich viewing experience that transcends typical crime drama formulas. As we move forward in the season, the intertwined fates of Jim and Nina promise to lead to further complications and revelations, raising questions about justice, revenge, and the possibility of redemption in a world where everyone seems compromised in some way.